Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back. It is the Hawk Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Chuck Hawkins. Wherever you're listening and now watching on YouTube, I am happy to have you join me as always. I do not take it lightly that you could be anywhere doing anything, but you are here to rock with us because you want to shorten the learning curve, right? On your journey to greatness. Like, share, subscribe, all of those social media platforms, and most importantly, follow the YouTube page because there's tons of content that won't be coming out anywhere else. Now, with all that being said, I have watched this week's guest grow from what can only be described as a slight introvert to an absolute business powerhouse. When she speaks, there is power, there is emotion, there's actionable knowledge, relatability, and impact. You are all in for a huge treat. She specializes in content marketing and helping entrepreneurs get organized and grow strategically. She is an author, certified business coach, and is helping to make entrepreneurs stand strong in their business and become profitable, right? It's all about the money. She has mastered the art of targeted online influence with well over 20,000 actively engaged followers. Listen, we can't talk about Black girl magic. We can't talk about Black excellence. And we can't talk about work ethic, vision, and belief without this week's guest. She is one of my good friends, Ashley Watkins. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I hope I can live up to that intro, man. That was like, I'm super grateful to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for carving out time, from your busy schedule. I know that, like I said, you could be doing anything, getting that money bag going and big plans and all that stuff and implementing your strategy. So I am grateful that you're here.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here. Coming in hot, right?
Absolutely. And just so you know, all of those accolades, we didn't embellish a single one, right? We've been going back and forth, since the Twitter days, and then now, back on Instagram, and you are absolutely killing it. It's such a pleasure to watch you be out there getting it done and helping so many other people.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful to do it. It comes natural to me. I'm not trying to brag, but, I actually love what I do. So it's not that hard for me.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's talk about the importance of a strong mindset and how you help others get their minds around being intentional about their business and their results.
Yeah, that's an awesome jumpstart question because I like to consider myself a mindset coach, but I like to speak more to the money because that's what people, they want to hear. How can they make more money? But we know, you and I know, like everybody else, that it does start with mindset. And I know you started following me when I had Body by Ashley, which was one of my first and longest businesses that I ever started. Yeah. And it's interesting, the similarities between personal training and entrepreneurship and coaching entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of the same mindset blocks, right? Like you see the excuses come up, you see the poor time management skills, you see the lack of accountability and self-discipline. And those things have to be tackled no matter what. You can't run from those and escape those things. And you used a good word, which is intentional. And I like to use awareness first, because a lot of people are not aware of the challenges that they have in their subconscious beliefs that stop them from becoming successful. So once we can kind of bring that to the surface and you can look it face to face in the mirror, then you can be intentional about the steps that you need to take to move forward so you can accelerate your results, as opposed to running in circles, doubting yourself, questioning yourself, all that good stuff that comes along with it as we go,
Absolutely. I love that you brought up self-awareness, because if you relate it back to physical training and working out, I know personally, I got about 90 days, right? I could do a blitz on anything for 90 days. And if my abs don't show up on day 90, we got to wait another 30 days because it's not, I just know that, there's something about however my makeup is, 90 days is my max that I can just commit to anything consistently. So that being said, how do you coach your clients? Do you give them a blitz mentality, or do you help them with their time management so that they can know how to break things down and attack?
Yeah, this is I have to answer this like in a complex way, because everybody comes in a different stage in their
Yes.
business, right? So you have some people that it's a little bit harder because they've been operating in disorganization in their business for years, you know, and then you have other people that are fresh, brand new, don't even know what to do, where to start. So when everybody comes, there's kind of like this audit, you know, to see where are you? Just like if you were personal training, you know, let's assess this situation and see where are you, because everybody is different.
Right.
And then once we do that, I take all my clients through the same process. And the first step is to write a business plan, because people, they do not want to write business plans. And I know I'm going to get a lot of slack from a lot of consultants and coaches out there, because they're like, oh, you don't need a business plan unless you're getting funding. But see, what the business plan does is it gets that person clear. You know, you don't know how many people have businesses. And I say, what's the mission of the business? What's the purpose of the business? What's the vision of the business? And they've never thought that process through. So when people come, you know, I have to introduce them to that. And it can be tough, just like with training, because they want to make money. They want to see the results. They're like, oh, you got me writing a business plan? Like, oh, like, we about to be all, you know, it's going to take forever. But while we're working on the business plan, we're implementing other things at the same time, but it's going through. You don't have to complete the business plan. Even starting it will get your mind to see, hey, I never even thought about the milestones. I never thought. And then, like how you said, you have 90 days. It makes people have a more realistic timeline. Like, oh, shoot, I thought I was going to make $1 million next month.
Right. Because that's how a lot of people package their offerings. They say, make 6 figures in your first, 6 months. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And you know why? Because a lot of things, like you said, with time management, for example, sometimes I can show a person that they have plenty of time, right? But it's always something else. So for example, that individual may have a fear of doing something. They may not have confidence. So every day that they get up, they don't do that one big brave thing that'll move their business forward. They might work on that one thing for 30 days, every day trying to get up and face how to do it. And then they might go take another class and distract themselves and go on a tangent when they really could have did it in one day. So it's not really always a time thing, even though we use that as a self-sabotaging strategy to say, this is why I'm not getting XYZ done, is because I just don't have enough time. And we all know that that's not all the time true. In some cases, it is. I have compassion for people that are short on time.
Yes.
But 90% of the time, it's usually something when you break that down. Even if you look at the business plan, if I go through each section of your business plan, I'm gonna find, okay, your marketing, you don't really have a strategy. Your sales, you don't have a strategy. You don't have a plan. You kind of winging it. And that's my kryptonite, winging it, watching people just, I call it freestyling.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. I literally just posted because I had a social media strategist, Bianca Tatum. I had her on and we talked about people just, for lack of better words, you're just freeballing your business, right? Like you gotta have a strategic plan. And so that leads me to my next question. What are the simple steps that people are missing when it comes to creating a marketing strategy around their business and their offerings?
Yeah, there's a few things. I like to focus on a few. Okay. So a lot of people just think, okay, it's social media, but deeper than that, underneath the layer of your social media platform, there's usually a lot of research and development that you haven't done. So one thing that people, kind of misconstrue is that, and I tell them, I'm like, go find somebody successful and see what they're doing. Yes. And use that as your research. Don't reinvent the wheel. And what they do is they think you're saying to copy off that person, or they think that they need to be competitive against another business that is like theirs, when they really should be analyzing what that business is doing, how they're marketing, what language they're using, how they're talking to their audience, how they're generating leads. You should be studying that and actually doing an analysis on how you can implement that into your business, and then how you can add value on top of that. So where people miss the mark is, number one, there's not enough value. So I like to talk about how, a lot of business coaches are talking about raise your price, raise your price, raise your price. Yes. But when I look at some of the businesses, the value is right at where the price is at,
Ooh, yes.
And I don't see why you should raise the price on that. And another thing is that if you do the market research, you'll find what people are willing to pay for that product or service. Right. And you're not pulling it out of your ego of, I deserve more money. Well, if you deserve more money for your product or service, you need to find a way to get a higher volume of customers. But that price point has to be at a place where the customer feels that is valuable. Like, wow, that's a lot of value for $29. I need to jump on this, as opposed to, let me try to pitch to them that I worked hard enough for it to be $59, you know, because I'm a small business and I don't have the resources and all that. Your customers don't want to hear that. Your customers are looking at Amazon, they're looking at bigger companies, and it's a huge argument that, oh, I don't have the resources as the big company, so, you know, I can't compete. But you can add value in other ways. So if you have a keen idea, to answer your question, if you have a keen idea of who your ideal customer is, what they'll pay, and what your competitors are doing in that lane that you're in, and then you add value on top of that, that's the strategy. That's the strategy.
That's so strong. I'll never forget my mentor, Edwin Haynes, used to say, success is a game of copycat. You just got to make sure you copy in the right cat. Right. to your point, you know, looking at other businesses and not just the competition side, but what are they doing? What is their messaging? And then making it organic and bringing value to the table on your own. I love it. We could talk about business and success all day long. But I have to ask you, we had a conversation. We discussed social media being a form of social economics. Can you talk to me a little bit more about the importance of building a community?
Yes, indeed. Well, like I said, my biggest success on social media was with my personal training business. And at the time, I didn't know that I was building the community, which is kind of, you know, which is kind of the genius in it and how you really should do it. But I didn't know at the time that that's what I was doing. I was just sharing my experiences with people, my weight loss journey, and people were gravitating towards that. Now, when you take someone that is not thinking like that and they're thinking about, I have a business, they don't think about fostering that relationship because they always think about selling something to their community. So they think that the way to build the relationship is to keep offering stuff to people, offering, even if it's what they need, but there's no trust there yet. So I was building that trust and didn't realize it just by showing people what I was eating, showing people my workouts and things of that nature. And the thing is, you know, now more than ever, people are very hesitant to trust you on social media. You know, they're very, very hesitant. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't have the patience to build that relationship. So I tell people, this is like dating. You know, you can't expect someone to just jump in and buy something from you. Just like if you were dating someone, you wouldn't expect them to jump in a relationship with you without getting to know you. So you feel like you deserve their attention, right? But that's kind of entitled to think that they would just see you on social media and immediately like you. And especially for those people that feel like they shouldn't consistently create content. So you can't think you're not going to create this relationship, but then expect that they're going to buy from you. And people are very like nose up, like, show me what you got before they actually purchase something from you. And another thing I like to talk about is your amount of followers, because this is what I was talking about on my live, is because people are always like, followers don't matter, or your follower size doesn't matter. And it matters in certain situations. So for example, once I got over 10,000 followers, I worked with Adidas. I got a campaign with Slim Fast. I had other people reaching out to me as far as being a brand ambassador and an influencer. And I had a lot of opportunities and I got a lot of free stuff and I met a lot of people. So when it comes to that, you know, having a large platform does matter. Now, when it comes to converting sales, you don't have to have a large platform to sell a product. And that's where people, you know, haven't drawn the line. They're just saying that, oh, you know, these are, I heard this term, vanity followers. Oh, you can have vanity
numbers.
Vanity numbers. And somebody said that to me and I was like offended, because I was like, what are they talking about? To me, there's no such thing as vanity numbers. It's about what your goal is on social media. If you desire to be an influencer, then you want to have a lot of numbers, because those big companies that reach out to you, they want to see numbers. They want to see engagement. They care about that. But if I have a product and I don't get a lot of likes, but people actually like the product, they could bypass the like and just buy it, you know, which is a totally different thing. So people have to, break these things down into actual outcomes. What is the outcome? Do I want to grow my blog? So I want my traffic to go from my online platform to my website. Do I want to make sales? Do I want to be an influencer? Do I not want to be an influencer? Do I want to have a product with no face and I get an influencer to promote it? What is your idea? You can't just look at all of the business coaches and all the information and then you just decide what you care about and what you don't care about. Right. You got to know, okay, I care about this because of this outcome that I'm trying to seek,
So when do you start looking at having a team, right? Because as small business owners and entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to do everything. Like this is our baby. We don't want to let it go. But at some point you have to outsource, you have to delegate. When do you start looking at growing the team or using, a third-party service for some of the part of your businesses?
That's a really, really good question. And honestly, I just brought on a VA recently and I've been in business for years. So I think there is a lot of information about delegation, but before you can delegate, you need to have systems that are automated, your own. If you're already overwhelmed with how you're doing business, you don't want to bring in someone into that chaos and that confusion, and you don't have any systems. You don't have, you're just like, I need help.
Right.
You're like, help. And then when you bring that person on, which I've been guilty of that too, all you're having them do is what you don't feel like doing, or what you're not having enough time to do. And that person is not being guided in a way that can actually move the business forward, and it's not productive. So I say, first, establish the systems for your day-to-day operations, whether that is email automation. If I bring on someone to take over my social media, I should already be using automation. I should already have some templates. I shouldn't bring this person on because I don't feel like doing it. And now, now this person is swamped too, but because the person you hire is not going to say, hey, this is a disorganized mess.
They're going to do what you say to do. Yeah,
exactly. And it's complicated because, my first assistant I brought on, I was like, hey, Anthony, God bless his child. He should have quit. He should have quit. Cause I was like, Anthony, do my social media. Like that was like his instructions. And he was like, do you have any certain hours? Did you have any? I didn't know my labor costs. I didn't know how many hours of a VA that I needed. I just was running around crazy with clients, had things I knew that weren't getting done. And I was like, I need to hire somebody, which is also ego,
Yes.
A lot of ego. I need a team, when it's like, you have to get yourself organized, develop those systems so that, and one tip that I'll give a lot of entrepreneurs that I do, even if I don't have someone to do the job, however I do something, I always open up like a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc, and I write down the steps that it takes for me to do it. Okay. Step 1, schedule this. Step 2, welcome new client, whatever that is. It could be your client onboarding. That way, when you do bring someone on, you hand that document to them and you tell them, this is how I do it. Yeah. And you don't have to be constantly like, I don't want to train someone on Zoom calls all day. I don't want to micromanage them.
Right.
That's so disempowering for a person. People want to be able to work independently, maybe check in if they have a question, instead of you being all in your ego. Now you're doing all the stuff you was doing, plus micromanaging them.
Right. And the business is not growing. Yeah.
And it's not growing. Yeah.
I love it. A while back, I tweeted that I love when conversations flow naturally like this, so that the next question just is a layup. But a while back, I tweeted that there's a multi-billion-dollar business somewhere waiting to be created if someone could just teach effective time management. And I know some of it is accountability, but why is time management such an Achilles heel for dream chasers and entrepreneurs? Like, what is it?
It's a few things. The first thing is I tend to notice that entrepreneurs, because we're so creative and we have so many ideas, we tend to overthink things and overcomplicate a lot of things. Like, you might have a to-do list, but you might have something on there twice, or you might be double checking stuff, or you might go take a class for something that you don't need a class for. So I see a lot of time wasted in unproductive activities. I think Asana did a study that like people are only 40% productive now because 60% of what they do is like tasks that don't have anything to do with anything. So that's the first thing. And, you know, people have a trouble prioritizing the money-making tasks, the tasks that make them more productive. And they do a lot of little things. And then by the time it's, because the big thing is really, is something that's like a fear in that big thing, you know?
Yes.
So I'm gonna do all the little stuff, and it's worse working from home too, because you're like, I'm about to do this laundry, these dishes, the kids are distracting me. Like, that is you having some fear, and it's the procrastination and the lack of time management. It's just supporting that fear so that you just go all over the place, and you don't focus on the other thing. Another thing is that people are so distracted with what everyone else is doing, they don't prioritize. So they go, I need to rebrand, I need a photo shoot, I need my social media to be good, I need my website done over. And then you end up doing a piece of this, a piece of that, a piece of this, a piece of that. And then an opportunity comes up and you're like, oh, well, I don't have the right website for it, so I can't jump on that opportunity, when you should have just worked on just the website by itself until it was done, or just that one component, instead of you got 10 things that are half done. And now we 6 months into this thing, and not one thing, not one task is actually completed. And I think that it comes from overthinking. I think it comes from a lack of clarity and a lack of vision. Like, if I ask a person that has a business, what is the goal of this business? You know, and it could be something as selfish as, I want to be rich. But people struggle internally. They're so unclear. They're like, I don't want to say that I want to be rich, but I need money, but I don't. So I don't want to do the, you know, it's so much confusion within, and people are so unclear, you know, mentally, spiritually, everything, that they end up not having good time management skills. And the last thing I'll say too is, I had to really analyze myself to see when I'm most productive. So as the day goes on, as the day goes on for myself, in the evening, count me out. I'm start getting distracted. I'm just gonna distract myself. You know, I get up early with the kids, and as the day goes on, after dinner, my productivity is so low. And I was noticing, like, why am I even attempting to work after 7 p.m. if the productivity is that low, that I'm feeling worse at the end of the night, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even getting anything done. So now I set hours that are when I'm most productive, and I'd rather get 4 hours done of work in the beginning of the day than to try to work all day. And then I'm starting to get interrupted by the kids. I'm getting frustrated, and I'm not productive. And it's 12 hours of non-productivity, as opposed
12 hours of 10 minutes worth of work. You know, it's funny because I'm the same way. Like, I can't do anything functionally before 10 o'clock. Like, I can't do it. I can be awake, I can be on the call, I can do all of that, but I don't really start. My sweet spot is 1 to 5. 1 to 5, I can do 13 hours worth of work. 5:15, nope, I'm back on break.
Exactly. You gotta know.
It's that self-awareness. I love it. What is the proper structure? We talked about business owners always referring back to LLC issues. I mean, LLC Twitter, and you know, building their domain and just being, you know, pick apart for their businesses. What do you think is the proper structure for someone launching?
Okay, so what I will say is that everybody keeps telling everybody to build an LLC, file for an LLC. And I'll say this, I'm not telling you not to. My advice is always to do your research, because I'm not a tax specialist. I'm not, you know, a lawyer. But what I will say is, the first thing is, do your research in your individual state, because I was a victim of that. Go get your LLC. And the first piece of advice is that a lot of people are getting LLCs and they're not profitable yet. So after you
say that part one more time real quick. They are doing what?
They're getting LLCs and they're not profitable yet. So that's a big no-no, because, you know, number one, you're going to owe the fees from that LLC, whether you profit or not. And we're in California. So I'm speaking to California. This happened to me. And for a couple of years, I did it. You know, I paid the fees, not realizing that between my expenses, I wasn't making that much money. And here's a second part of it. You know, and a tax specialist said this to me. He said, you don't have any property. at the time I had no liabilities, no assets.
Okay.
I didn't have any property, didn't have really anything in my name. I was young, I was in my 20s, and the LLC, we're doing it, technically to protect ourselves in case something happens. Then the LLC is a separate business entity and all that. But a couple things. Number one, I was the only member of the LLC. So that is, who else is going to absorb? Like who's going to absorb the liabilities other than me? My social security, I had an EIN number, but when you're the only member, they're still using you as the person that's responsible for everything. You're the manager, you're the member, you're the everything of the LLC. If you don't have anybody else to share the responsibilities of even owning the business with you. So the tax preparer was like, well, what do you have? Like that if somebody got injured, personal training, they could sue you for it. And the truth was nothing. Some student loan debt. I didn't, and I was paying. I think it's like $700 every quarter.
Yeah,
and I didn't
California
realize
prices hit different on everything.
I didn't realize I was not profiting enough to have an LLC. And the other part is you can always get general liability insurance for your business if you are worried about covering any type of cost. Every business is going to be different. For me, having a business consultancy, there's a specific type of insurance. For consultants, there's a specific. For a personal trainer, it was just general liability insurance. It was $15 a month. So I paid $700 a quarter.
Oh my God.
Having a DBA, an EIN number, which is free, and some general liability insurance for, I think, $13.95 a month. That would have been fine.
And you could have had that money, had you known, right? You could have had that money going towards the business instead of going towards just the LLC. I think that is so important that people do their research, and we're all victims of it, right? We get caught up in the hype, and a lot of people in different communities follow the same pages, and so you see one person post it, then you see two people post it, you're like, man, maybe I should do this too. And ultimately it's just like, wait a minute, be profitable first. Like, can we get some money coming in before we try to be, I was so excited that we had that conversation initially, because I think that we do a disservice with our platforms if we don't tell the other side of the post, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely agree. What do you think your community loves about Ashley the most?
I think they like that I'm real. I've had a couple challenges in my business, and I social media, people usually tell their highs. Right. And I tell my lows and my highs. And there's people that DM me and they say, oh, that happened to me too, or that's super relatable. And people were saying it to me, like, I like that you keep it real. I didn't think that I was keeping it real. I thought that I didn't like consciously say I'm going to always be honest with my audience. Right. But I felt that I had a responsibility to them. If a lot of people were looking up to me and looking to my influence as far as their fitness and a lot of things, mindset stuff. So if I would go through something, I needed them to know that I was human just like them, and that I have the same challenges that they do, to empower them to know that, hey, don't put me on a pedestal. Don't put me on a pedestal. Right. Put yourself on a pedestal. The same challenges that you have, I have too. And the same thing that I'm preaching, I have to take my own advice to get myself through those same hurdles. So I'm no different than anybody in my audience. Yeah,
it's important. Amber Aziza was on the show not too long ago, and one of the analogies that she gave that I really, really loved is she said, we can all live in this penthouse apartment complex, but just because you're on the third floor doesn't mean you can't tell somebody on the first floor where to park. Right. And just because I'm on the 12th floor doesn't mean that, I can't tell somebody on floor 10 some information, and the person in the penthouse is like, oh, well, this is how you get to the penthouse. And we all have these levels of information and knowledge that we can share. One of the things that I love the most is that you kind of mentioned it, that you're real, but your transparency, but more so the consistency, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people fail to be consistent, and then they expect the growth to just appear. How much time do you spend on your personal growth and commitment to Ashley Watkins?
24 hours a day. I mean, just like how you said that you're not productive until the afternoon. I don't start my day until I do my affirmations, until I work out, until I
Wow.
do yoga, until I journal, because of the fact that when I'm not consistent with those things, even time management things in my business, I see the results of it. And I'm like, dang, that skipping that meditation wasn't worth it because I'm in traffic feeling irritated,
Right,
so
right.
the consistency is so important to me because, even if you take, let's say you're working out and you take a blank calendar and every time you work out, you filled it in blue. At the end of that 30 days, if you seen that whole calendar and it only had one blue square on it, you'd be like, wow, the days
Yes.
that was white are all days of you not doing that. And for me, even, Instagram is great for keeping you consistent because with posting, that algorithm, they ain't messing with you if you stop posting.
Yes, at all.
That algorithm punishing you.
At
Oh,
all,
you
yes.
want to dip off and be private? When you come back, we're going to show your content to 0.01% of your followers.
Yes, they
Until
have
you commit.
mastered. Yes, they have mastered keeping you on that platform.
They have.
It's crazy. But so how does that work, right? Because we have to stay on, and I know a lot of people use what's the old school one, Hootsuite, Buffer, and
Mm-hmm.
Calendly. Like we use all these little automation tools. But do you find yourself getting caught up scrolling, even at your level? Like, do you still get caught up?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I scroll, but what I use the scrolling for is to engage with my community. So when I'm scrolling, I'm constantly commenting, complimenting, saving, engaging. And I get rewards from that because that means that Instagram is defining my relationship with those pages too, because I'm consistently engaging. So a thing that I did a couple months ago that was very risky, that I'm still recovering from, is that I unfollow pages that have nothing to do with small businesses. Like I unfollowed a lot of pages that were just random funny pages and things
Right.
because I said, I need the algorithm to know what I do. And
Yeah.
I unfollowed like 1,500 people. Now, Instagram doesn't like that. So that was super risky, super risky.
Yes.
But now what I'm doing is because I've been engaging with other people that have a common interest with me, my engagement is going back up. And because I know how the game goes, I'm patient with it.
Right.
But when I unfollowed all of those accounts, Instagram was like, well, you unfollowed over 1,000 people. Something must be wrong.
Are
And
you
they
trying to
kind
leave
of,
us?
you trying to leave. But since then, in my scrolling, to answer your question, I was engaging with who I wanted to engage with. That's why you have to be strategic. And honestly, it helps for networking opportunities. It helps. And if you have to just scroll, then make it that much harder for yourself. Create a personal page to scroll on, and
Yes.
then create your business page so that, because I'm a woman, I was engaging with makeup, hair tutorials, nail tutorials. And
Yes.
then I post something about business and I'm not getting any likes. And somebody's like, oh, yeah, but your hair's cute. It's like,
I
you got to
love it.
be aware of
Yeah.
Instagram is keeping track. It's like, hey, since you like nothing but nail pages, I know you sell pies, but we're going to show you nail content and we're going to show, we're going to
Right.
have people that like nail content look at your pies and you're not going to get any engagement.
And that's it. It's funny because I paid a similar price. We've been, in California, I've been in the house for Jesus. It feels like the better part of a year, with the exception of getting dressed up to go to Target. And I started, for the first time in my life, I started buying tennis shoes. Like I rarely, you know me, I'm always in suits, right? And so I finally started buying tennis shoes, and I did a couple of searches on Instagram. I liked a couple, and next thing I knew, every shoe game influencer and customization, and I was like, I don't like shoes like this. And my wife was like, your closet say otherwise, right? Because the past couple of weeks. So I had to do the same thing, similar, just clean it up. But the other part of that is it protects your mental space, right?
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you focused on the things that you value, and then you can
Right.
bring that value back to your clients and your community. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to that. Um, let's talk about the big business planner.
Yes.
What is it? How does it serve the people? What can we expect from it?
Oh, I love that you brought this up because, It took me forever to build this planner. First of all,
you sounded
really
like you were
did.
exhausted when you said that, just like it took me forever.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I'm not going to even discount it because we see people selling ebooks and digital products all the time. So we think it's just like, throwing together something and turning it into a PDF and selling it on your Shopify. But I had to do a lot of research on what people actually needed because I wanted people to not only buy it, I wanted them to use it and get some transformative results for their business. So what I did was everything I do in coaching, I put into the planner. So there's a business plan template. There's a content plan template. There's a marketing strategy template. There's an outline for your website. So the typical business owner, if you've never owned a business, if you don't know where to start, you could use this as a tool to get yourself organized, track your sales, track your engagement, track everything, your leads, set yourself up. And I was going to do a physical planner. And the reason that I didn't do a physical planner is because one thing is I saw the cost, right? Let's talk business.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of, I'm not going to name anybody, but there's a bunch of people selling planners for like $99 because the planner has a crocodile skin binder that it comes in with a satin box and a ribbon. And, we live for that type of stuff, right? That luxury experience of getting something in the mail. But I'm practical and I wanted to focus on the people that don't want something cute. They want something they can execute on. So instead of focusing on which colorful magnetic box I was going to send your planner in, I sat down and was like, I whiteboarded it. I'm a whiteboard person. And I was okay, what problems do entrepreneurs have? They're overwhelmed. They overthink things. They lack clarity. They have time management issues. They don't know what to do on a day-to-day basis. So the planner literally takes you from your business plan and it funnels it all the way down to what you should do monthly, what you should do weekly, and what you should do every single day. So when you get up in the morning, boom, I got an hour of marketing. I got an hour on my blog. I got an hour on this. Here's my 5-hour day of focused, time blocked off activities that are stemming from your business plan because you filled all that out. Matter of fact, the first section is a vision board. It's just blank pages. Get all the junk out. Just dump it all out. All the ideas, figure out what you can do now, what you want to do later, how the future of the business is going to look, what your team going to look like, vision it all out. Then start your business plan so you know what to do first, because you don't want to do step 3 before you do step 1.
Yes.
And this is what the planner was designed for. I was like, I'm like you guys. I beat myself up about it. I did a bunch of research about it. I overthought it. I go through these same things.
Right.
I go through these same things, but it turned out to be such a great product that I use it. And it shows me that, okay, this is what I need. And also it goes back to, if I hire somebody, I can share this planner with them. I can actually, because it's not a personal planner, it's not a journal. It's strictly for your business. So I can share this with them. I can highlight and copy and paste the tasks right into a project management tool so that somebody else can do the task. And I think that I talked to you about this off air, how people have all the notebooks.
Yes. And we don't never go back and look at the notes.
Never go back and look at them. You go to a class, you take notes, I had 10 million notes from all the webinars I done went to, all of the YouTube videos, all the stuff I've had to learn about. And I was like, I need people to go into one document on their computer, go to page 6 and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing today, nothing else. And even be able to scroll back through. And plus I made it so that you can put customizable stickers in it. You can open it up into Keynote on your tablet, on your iPad. Nice. And actually there's links so that you can go to different pages and stuff so that it's not, you can print it if you want to. I wanted whoever got it to not have any excuse. Print out one section, fill that section out, go to the next section. Like, this is dumbing it way down to eliminate all the excuses of I'm disorganized, I don't know what to do. You got it in there. You just got to get it organized and clear so that you can execute. That's the biggest part. Because let's be clear, there's a percentage of people that even with a planner, they won't execute. You know, there's that. And we know this. But
that word has just been resonating over the past few weeks. Execution, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was just talking about this. There's no point in having a vision right? There's no point in having the goals that we set for ourselves and things that we believe we're capable of. And, we're running out advocating for ourselves and our business and our product. And we don't execute. Like, what's the
Mhm.
point?
It's frustrating. And that's why people hire me for coaching. Honestly, they have all the tools, and a lot of the people that hire me are brilliant. I'm working with people that are developing apps and they're brilliant, but they're literally paying for coaching to be held accountable and to have a roadmap. So if I say by February 1st, we're going to have this done, then by February 8th, we're going to have this done, then by February 15th, they need that accountability because they have all that knowledge inside. And they
Yeah.
haven't, and then they start to feel guilt and shame that they haven't acted on it. They start to feel bad about it. And that really stops you from performing because you're like, I should have been did this. And that guilt is
Yes.
heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it that guilt honestly has stopped a lot of people from chasing their dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is you feel like you can't manage your time. So now you feel like not managing your time leads you to not executing. Not executing takes you to not having any results. Not having any results means you start feeling like your business is failing, right? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
this downward spiral of just grief and lack and suck.
Yep.
And then people, then people give up and then they get mad at LLC Twitter and mad at the entrepreneurs for saying the same thing over and over again. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can't get mad at entrepreneurs and goal chasers and people that are hungry and because they're saying the same thing, but then you go to church every week, right? And they talking about the same exact, it's 4 lessons, 4 little sermons. They say the same thing, and that for some reason fulfills you. But
Mm-hmm.
when an entrepreneur is saying the same thing, then it's all of a sudden they're just trying to sell. Well, both are a business,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And that's the part I tell anybody that asks, like, listen, I'm not the most religious of people. I have my beliefs, but let's not separate the business of church, right? Just like you separate the business of your own personal growth. And so
Yep.
I am on board. We have to stop that downward spiral of suck. And so
Mm-hmm.
execution is important. To that, is there a section about goal setting? How does Ashley set her goals? Revenue, activity, like when you're looking at the analytics, what's going on in there?
Oh, it's so interesting that you asked that because sometimes people set too big of goals, right? And my goals are always very realistic. So for example, I would meet with a client and they say, I haven't been active on social media. I want to get 1,000 new followers every month.
Right.
Well, if you have 200 followers, you're not going to get 1,000 new followers in the next 30 days. Let's be realistic. And if you're starting to just start being consistent, people are just warming up to that. So I observe for myself that it takes about 3 to 8 months to really make an impact as a brand on social media. So it took almost a year for people to stop calling me Body by Ashley. They thought that was my first name.
Right,
like
right.
I worked with somebody on a video shoot and I said, they introduced me and I had to pull them to the side and said, you can just call me Ashley. Like it's that deep for people. So for me, like I'll tell you, for last month, I didn't gain that many followers and my followers go down and up, down and up. So one goal that I set for myself was not to gain new followers, but to replace them. So my numbers don't go up. I'll lose 50 followers and then I'll gain 49. To me, that's progress. You get what I'm saying? Because those 49 people are more in my niche than the people that left. I want people to leave that don't want what I'm talking about. So I look at those numbers to make sure I'm consistently cleaning out the old followers that were following the Body by Ashley brand. So that is a goal that I would set for myself as opposed to I need 1,000 new followers. And I like general goals. So like, for example, that's a brand awareness goal. My goal for the next 6 months is just to get people aware of the brand, to get people, familiar with the brand on different platforms. So that could be posting in Facebook groups, that could be on LinkedIn, that could be, and that's how I set my goals based on the result. What do I want? Hey, for the next year, I just want Ashley Watkins Consulting to be a household name when it comes to business coaching. And everything I do is in alignment with that. Being on this podcast is in alignment with that. So people have goals that are so numerical, right? But when you look at them, they don't really make sense. So if I say I want 1,000 new followers on Facebook, I want 1,000 new followers on Instagram, that's not going to happen. And then at the end of February, I'm going to be like, I didn't hit my goal, but it wasn't that I didn't hit it. It's that the goal didn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
We often don't spend a lot of time making sure that we have, a while back there was this hyper awareness around, they call them SMART goals, right?
Mhm.
Where you were specific, measurable, attainable,
Mhm.
what is it, relatable,
Realistic,
yeah,
relatable.
realistic and time
Mhm.
bound, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think we've gotten away from that, and we've just tried to make goals uh so simple that we don't try to look and see if they're actually attainable or will they be effective for the business. And so that's
Yeah.
that's why I asked that, because you are
I'm blaming,
so
I'm sorry to
strategic.
cut you off. I'm blaming the mindset coaches because
Ooh,
things
let's go.
started. Yeah, I'm coming in hot. I gotta get
Look,
the, I gotta get them real
well, let
quick.
me let me let me coffee that one. Hold on.
I gotta get them because everything shifted to manifesting. Everything, you saw this
Yes.
huge shift to manifesting. So in the process of trying to get people to envision big goals for themselves, there wasn't a lot of, talk about transitioning from where you're at to actually get there and the steps that it'll take. So before I coach you to make $10,000 a month, I got to coach you to make $100 continuously, consistently. I got to coach
Yes.
you, so I'm not telling you. And then the other thing about the manifestation, which is there's some truth into that, right? Like whatever you
Absolutely.
believe, you're going to make come true. But one thing about not setting SMART goals is that vision that you're trying to manifest is so big, you don't even believe it.
Right.
You don't
Right.
believe that you can make $100,000 next month. That's why you're not able to get up every day and do the steps that it takes to do them, right? If you did, you would have made it, but you don't. So me telling you, close your eyes and see yourself in that luxury apartment and coming out, getting on that helicopter, your
Yes.
subconscious mind is going, this is some BS. I can't, I still work at Walmart. I can't,
Right. Right.
you know?
Right.
So that goes back to setting those goals. I'm not against manifesting. I'm actually more into affirming. So when you do affirmations, which is another section of the planner, affirm a reality that you can believe so you can start stepping into who you need to become. So if you just have to say, I am brave, and maybe you feel a little bit scared at first, but then after 30 days of telling yourself you're brave, at the end of the 30 days, you can
Yes.
make a decision that you weren't able to make before, as opposed to telling yourself, I am a millionaire for 30 days. And then you don't really believe it. And then you don't have a way to do it. And it's so much resistance. And at the end of the
Right.
30 days, you got 32 cents in your bank account. And you're like, see, I knew that didn't work.
Right. Yeah. No. You know what I blame? You remember the movie The Secret? Remember when The
Oh,
Secret was
yes.
out and everybody
Mhm.
was, oh my God, everybody's, if you see it, you can picture. And there is some absolute truth to it. And I tell my daughters, it's similar to um, when you have your eye on a specific kind of car, right? You
Mhm.
start to see that car everywhere. Absolutely the truth. You can do that. But now we got to talk about how are we paying for the car, right? And that's the part that we gloss over, because the vanity is affirmations and manifestation, and we get caught up in that part. But the miracles come in the doing of the work, right?
Yep.
Like my dad used to tell me all the time, no miracle happens without somebody doing something, whether it's just believing, reaching out for the hem of the garment. Like there was all these things that people had to do in the Bible for the miracle to happen. And I'm not super religious, but like you said, we got to get caught up in the structural part. Like how are we going to do the work?
Yeah, it's too many. And I'm going to speak specifically to women, because to me, this has a lot to do with a feminine and masculine balance within, female entrepreneurs, because men do tend to be more actionable, and somebody listening right now, this might go over their head and they might be like, well, they might get too caught up in, feminine and masculine as far as like how you look and stuff. But
Sure.
femininity in itself is an energy, and it's an emotion, and it's an embodiment of some of that manifesting or praying and, being within, and going within that aspect of you, that spiritual aspect of you. But there's so much of that women don't have sometimes a balance of the feminine and the masculine. Like, I'm gonna get up and pray and meditate and manifest this, and then at 9 o'clock I got to put on my work hat, and I got to clock
Yes.
in and be like a man, and I can't feel nothing right now. I got to just do, and I can't think about anything right now. And yes, this sucks, but like a man, I see what's going on, and I see a problem, and I got to fix it, and I got to do it. And that's the part
Right.
that everybody, men and women, have feminine and masculine aspects, but women, we're always in the dream me, journal, vision board aspect of it. And you got to know when to turn that on and off. You know, I'm not saying be masculine. I'm just saying that in negotiation, you might need to be, and setting your pricing, you might need to be, you know, and I'm speaking to men and women because there's men that are more masculine. Maybe they don't do the vision board part of it. And maybe they just get up and do, and they're not following their intuition, you know? So there has to be a balance. And I even talk about this with self-care. Like, do you know when you're tired and you need to rest, or when you're just making an excuse and you need to execute? And you gotta know that for yourself. Only you know that. But I think that there's way too much. I'm not talking against the self-care and the manifestation and the mindset stuff. When coaching gets there, because people need coaching sometimes in that area, I will help people with that. And I'll say, hey, you know, well, let's pace this differently so that you're not burnt out. But I don't want you to not start because you're over here still trying to manifest.
Yes. I tell my 14-year-old, I love her to death, and I'm just, you know, you cannot manifest $300,000 and not get out the bed till 1 o'clock. Like, that's not. It doesn't work that way.
Somebody lied.
Yeah, I'm just like, TikTok ain't telling you the full truth. And that's, you know what, we talked about this, but this TikTok for business owners, I'm not dancing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do the work and I want to do the engagement, and I get it. There's a market for it. What do you say to these people that seem to chase the trend around for their business?
Well, the first thing I always suggest people to do is to find the platform that people are converting. If people are converting from TikTok, go at it. You know, if you jump on that trend and you see that, dang, I've gotten more people from TikTok than I've ever gotten, you know, do it how you got to do it. But what I find people doing is chasing trends. I got a lot of slack on saying that I didn't like Clubhouse. And, you know, I was like, okay, listen, guys, I know this is about to be an unpopular opinion, but I see the way that I get and engage with my audience. I don't see it coming from Clubhouse. There's a lot of things about Clubhouse that I don't like. And I'm like, I don't jump ship. I think that Clubhouse is great for networking. Where I'm at in my business, I don't have to network. Networking is great, but that's not my strategy. Remember, my strategy is brand awareness. So that goes back to knowing, you know, so if you have a great product and service and you want to build with some other entrepreneurs and maybe collaborate with them, then maybe you should be on Clubhouse. If you feel like your demographic is the TikTok demographic and age, like if you're selling a kid's product, then maybe you should be on TikTok, right? So you just have to find your lane and don't chase the trend, because the trend, I have so many people that have gotten consultations and they will not post their product on Etsy because Etsy isn't trending. But if you have a product that serves moms, you need to be on Pinterest. You need to be on Etsy. No, it's not popular.
Absolutely.
No, they're not looking for nobody that's dancing. And I get that. That's the content you like to consume. But if people are buying from Etsy or from Pinterest, that's where you need to be. That has nothing to do with the trends. I have a good friend of mine, Lori Castillo. She has a couple of businesses with her family, and she noticed, they started looking at the analytics, that none of their customers came from anywhere but Etsy. They had put so much into they were selling seed packets for people to plant and customize. And like, if you had a family member that passed away and you needed some custom seed packets to give away as gifts, that you could plant a tree for your, you know, loved one that passed away.
Got you. Okay.
Something like that wasn't marketing well on Instagram. It's great. The pictures are great. People on Etsy, they couldn't even keep up with the Etsy orders.
Wow.
So guess what they did? They stopped posting on Instagram altogether.
Yeah, you got to focus where the client is, and I think that's the part that people forget is, you know, I had a I can't remember who the guest was at the moment, but they were like, Chuck, why are you not on Instagram more? And I'm like, because Twitter and LinkedIn are getting me everything that I need right now, right? And so, you know, of course, you want to have a presence, you want to have a platform, but to your point, you want to find out through your analytics which one is working for you, which one is driving results. And it would be foolish, in my opinion, to focus on a platform that is not driving results just for the sake of saying, hey, I'm here too, right? You don't see pet food owners advertising at the doctor's office. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, it's the same thing. Close to wrapping up, because one, I want to respect your time. Two, we could go on forever because we kind of think the same on a lot of stuff. What does the word belief mean for Ashley Watkins?
The word belief to me, number one, belief is a collection of all your experiences. That's what makes your beliefs, right? But for me, belief has actually grown into a knowing for me, because I know that, like, when I believe something, in order for me to want that belief to be solid, I got to know, so in my language, I mean, even if I can't see it and tying it into faith, I got to know. So I can't just believe that I'm going to be successful. I got to know that I'm going to be successful. I can't just believe in my clients. I got to know. And then also, sometimes, depending on if it's a negative belief, you have to let yourself know that it's just a thought and it can be changed, because it's positive and negative beliefs, right? So I have positive beliefs, like I'm going to be successful, and it's coming from my experiences, and then I transform it into knowing that I'm going to be successful. But I got negative beliefs too, doubts, just like everybody else. So with those ones, they come from my experiences. Like I said, they're thoughts. And just knowing that I can change them and turn them into a different belief and a knowing from new experiences is what kind of makes me be like, okay, the belief is the thought, but also a belief is an experience. It's based on an experience, but I can also change the belief too.
Love it. Love it. What about vision? What does the word vision mean for Ashley Watkins?
Vision for me means your clarity of sight for something. So sometimes it's hard for you to see things, right? And by see and sight, I mean in your mind's eye. And I think that in order to have a vision, and for it to be a good vision, you have to have some clarity, so I like to separate the idea between an idea and a vision. You might have an idea, like, boom, I got an idea. Okay, do you have a vision for that? Because the idea is just a thought, but once it becomes a vision, you can see it in your mind's eye.
Right, and then you can start working towards how you can make that come to fruition. Yes, I like it. I like it. Execution. Let's jump back on it.
Execution is acting. It's literally action. It's literally action. And I think that to take it further is acting on a goal, because sometimes the goal might be really big and you have the goal, like you have it there. You want to own property, you want to own a business, you want to be wealthy, you have the goal, but the execution is the action towards that goal. So I think a lot of times what people do, like we said before, is they're not taking action towards the goal.
Right.
They're executing something.
They're doing the feel good work, right? They're doing the part that makes them feel good. They're taking the pictures and working Canva and doing all that. We didn't touch on this, but one of the things that we were kind of talk about is the perception that people are scared of paperwork for their business. Remember, we were discussing how, the one part, it may be due to fear, it may be due to lack of knowledge, but the part that we seem to not want to do the paperwork. What is that part about?
I'm gonna speak from Black people because I'm a Black person.
Yes.
I'm gonna be the Black person representative. And I'm gonna show a little bit of compassion towards this fear right now, because historically paperwork hasn't done us well, right? And I think that in certain situations, we have in the past been denied credit applications, had hard time, getting approval status on a lot of things. And I think that mindset has stayed concrete amongst the Black community, where we feel like we can do better without doing it on the table. So if your grandfather tell you this story about how the tax man did him and how this or whatever, whatever went wrong. Or, I have friends now that still say, well, Black people don't get approved for business loans like that. And I'm like, hey, times are different right now. Yeah. If you can have a business account and run your business legitimately and not be afraid of it, you get a business loan just like anybody else. So the stigma still remains, and then it makes people act from that belief. Remember, belief comes from experiences. It don't even have to be your own experience. It could be your parents' experience. It could be someone else. And then that stigma hangs over your head. And then you decide that the government doesn't care about you anyways. So, yes. Which is partially true. Partially. I'm Black.
Yes.
It's partially true. But if you have established your business in a way that has no color, because it's just right, it's just, you can't be denied because it's just right, then you can get over some of those hurdles and some of those challenges. I mean, there's even things that you can do that you can get funding online, especially like with the PPP loans and stuff. But a lot of people couldn't get that stuff because they didn't do things the way that they wanted to. And then also for startups, you have to start legit. So before you take one sale, start having all of your due diligence done, because it's so hard to train your customers to respect you when you do start paying taxes, or, they got to pay sales taxes, or, they're like, wait, you used to let me cash app you and text you at midnight if I needed something.
Right.
Why all of a sudden am I going through your Stripe account and paying taxes? And, so I always say start legit, and know that is a stigma and a stereotype, and that there's not that much weight to it when it comes to being a successful business as a Black person or a person of color. Know that we're in 2021 and you don't have to avoid paperwork to protect yourself, but do your research too, like we said.
Love it. As we close, you're in a room, virtual or conference hall, 20,000 people there, your entire online community. What is the one thing you want them to know about Ashley Watkins?
I want them to know that I've really been blessed to reach a lot of people through speaking. So, I see a lot of people that don't know what their purpose is, and they don't know what they should do. And I overthought this for many years. I questioned myself and I questioned God, not knowing that my talent was speaking. Not knowing that it didn't matter what I was speaking about. If I could influence a room full of people, that my voice in itself was the talent. I didn't have to get more skills. I didn't have to, sharpen something or get another certificate. And I want people to know that too. Like, a lot of people think that their purpose is to help people. So they'll go do something that they think is helpful, but then they're unhappy. And I thought that too. I thought my purpose was to help people lose weight, but people weren't saying you helped me lose weight. They were saying you motivated me, you inspired me, you encouraged me.
Right.
And it's the same words that they're saying now as business coach. So then I had to realize, wait, the voice and the words that I'm speaking just from my heart is my talent. I don't have to, this is good enough, and a lot of people don't think that what they have is good enough, like naturally what they have. And they question, okay, should I charge somebody for talking? That's like that was me. I was like, I did a free call with a lady one time and she hung up, and I did a consultation with her for a business, and she Apple paid me $50. And I was like, why did she do that? And she was like, thank you for talking to me. And then I was like, oh God, okay. You got a purpose for me. Yeah. That's what it is. It doesn't have to be, I could talk business, but a lot of people don't know that something they do really easily and something that comes naturally for them is their talent, but they're trying to make a business and they're just avoiding and ignoring that altogether, instead of being like, hey, you know what? I have some things to say. I have some experiences. I have some testimony, and that might be my thing. Even if I'm selling soap, Ashley and her story is still selling the soap.
Right.
It's the same voice. It's the same theory, who I am as a person. And I think people think that who they are is wrong or not good enough. So they are trying to develop into this person that owns a business. And it's like, no, who you are is more than enough. It's actually who we need. Bring that person up to the front stage so we can
Yes.
talk to that person and see what that person has to offer. And I think that if I was in a room of 10,000 people, they would all be in that room because they thought that I was going to give them something that they already had, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I totally, totally get it. I am excited about the partnership. I am going to be sponsoring a couple of the big business planners. And so
Yes.
we will be talking about that because your community is going to have to, there's going to be a contest. They're going to have to do a little bit. Let's talk about that real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. So all I want is that for anybody that hears this, listens to this, follows me, to follow you and to follow me at Coach Ashley Watkins on Instagram, and just let me know about their business. I love hearing about people's businesses. I love hearing about new businesses and ideas, and just tell me like, hey, I need this business planner because whatever is the reason and whatever their business is. And we're going to pick 2 people and sponsor them. I also have a free Facebook community. It's called the VIP Business Mastermind. So the contest going to be going on in there too. This community is 600 members of just only business owners. So I definitely love hearing like people that have new business ideas. I get like a high off of like what you going to do with that?
I love it. I love it. And you know what I just thought about? We're gonna add something to it. The 2 people that win the business planner will also, 6 months to the day that they win it, we're going to touch base. We're going to bring them on live. We're going to talk about what they've done on both platforms. We should bring them on the Hawk Vision podcast live to talk about how that planner has worked for them. So we're gonna let's work on that offline as well. That's gonna be cool.
I'm excited. That's okay, y'all. He put y'all in the hot seat. It wasn't me.
Yes, yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have been rocking with the one and only, the great one, Ashley Watkins, with the Hawk Vision podcast. Listen, like, share, and subscribe. We can't say this enough. The YouTube channel, guys, is going to have content that you will not be able to see anywhere else. I'm not just saying that. I am saying it very intentionally, so you won't be able to say that you did not know that all the game was going to be on YouTube. Okay, you won't be able to say that. Ashley, thank you so much for partnering with me for this episode. I know you could be doing anything, and I am humbled that you graced us with your presence. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. I was very excited for this interview. I hope that all your listeners got as much that they can get out of it. And I'm excited to move forward, give away the planners, and get somebody on their way.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Hawk Vision podcast, we will either see you at the top or from the top. But remember, no miracle happens without somebody doing the work. This is the place where work ethic, vision, and belief come together. The Hawk Vision podcast, we will talk.